3, 2, 1.
Good morning. This is Professor Anderson with a little bit of feedback for your writing assignment number 1, a set of instructions. So I want to share with you, this is my folder where your work comes in, and this is where the rubric is located for me. For you, it's located at the bottom of the assignment. I just want to pull that up and share with you what the rubric is, how it works. So it has a specific feature. If it identifies like the make, the model, the year, then that's, excellent. If you have the make and the model, maybe not all the details, has, 25 or more steps, and then it goes in a sliding scale. The steps all begin, as a command. They're numbered. Maybe some of them are have a note underneath of them to describe a little more explanation of the steps. Some of the steps are nested with like sub-steps underneath, at warnings and so forth. The overview or the introduction is included. There's the number of graphics is required, blah, blah, blah. So just wanted to show you how detailed it is that of the scope of what I'm looking at when I'm reviewing this. So if we start from the beginning and we move forward, you have a great introduction here. It gives the make and the model of the equipment that you're giving the instructions for, and it tells, gives a little bit of an introduction of what the purpose of the function is, and that's a little, part of the process or reason for a set of instruction. Here's one tip that I give you here. So let's read these first two sentences. The Delta table saw model 36725 is a contractor style table saw, meaning that it is designed for semi-permanent installation. So if I just look at that quick sentence, the first thing I recommend is keep it simple. Remember, clear, concrete, and concise. I would restructure this to say the Delta table saw 36725 is a contractor style table saw, period. Take off this apostrophe, just say contractor style table saw, period. This is the pronoun. It can replace her or his. You really wanted to say the contraction it is. So instead I would say period. It is designed for semi-permanent installation, period. The saw has wheels that make it mobile, but it is not ideal for a job site, period. So just work on those very clear, concise, and concrete sentence structures. This set of instructions is designed to share with the reader, or is designed to walk the reader through, what is that called? Aligning the saw blade, period. This set of instructions will walk you through aligning the saw blade. Done. So that's what I would recommend in terms of, just go back over and clear, short, keep it simple, short and sweet is the best way to go, especially for instructions. The next I would do is give a subheading here. So I would say parts of the saw, or label this, Delta 36-725 saw parts or something like that. Just give it a different color, a little larger font. And instead of saying first, we're going to go over the important parts, these just very direct. These are the important parts of the Delta 36-725. I love how you've nested these in here. Excellent graphic there. And then here's this figure 1, where you say here the figure 1 shows the power cord and switch, the blade height adjustment wheel, and the fence. I like how you're detailing this, but what you need to do is perhaps list these. So the figure 1 shows : 1 or A, power cord, B, switch, C, blade height, so that you're nesting that underneath of it. Remember, that's part of that keeping the flow and alignment of the page is really key, especially in instructions, so you can walk your reader through. Figure 2, here we have overview of the surface of the saw. Again, you could just say miter slots. I'm not really sure how maybe I would give that detail underneath of here. Broad view, period. This figure details the miter slots and so forth. And then figure 3, blade height adjustments. Again, each of those I would give a label and then give the description underneath in where you've labeled it. So tool required to make adjustments. Here I noticed that you had, yes, see these from left to right, a 3/16 hex wrench, a number 2 cross tip screwdriver, and a combination square. I would say I would go from left to right and then list A, 36-inch or 3/16 inch hex wrench, and then underneath of it, B, number 2 cross tip, C, combination square. You just want to have that flow so that your reader is looking and then flow, as opposed to having to distinguish in a list like this. So if they can flow down and check off each of these items, think of it like a grocery list. That's easier for your user to read. Now let's head into the steps. This is where, see here you have these, you're just labeling the parts, and then I would have the next step, put a bigger heading, instructions. Step 1, mark the blade teeth either by marker or scribe. So you want to have above this step, you want to make sure that you give a little more specified instruction. So raise using the crank saw, step 1, using the, I don't know, the turn arm, I'm not sure how it is, raise the blades half, to the halfway point above so that half of the blade is above and half of the blade is below. Identify the first, step 2, identify the first or second. So I don't know what this is called. Teeth? Yeah, tooth in the above the, what is this, the platform level? I don't know what this is called, plane level. Using a mark or scribe, mark the first tooth. So what that gives you, 1, you could, now you have instructions, and then 2, you could have a nested subset of instructions marking the blade, and then that might be 3 or 4 instructions, and then measuring the distance, and that might be 3 or 4 instructions. Oops, sorry about that. So again, when I was reading through the rubric instructions for you, it is, why isn't this coming up? You'll note that one of the important parts of this, like we learned in week 1 and 2, is having steps that are nested or sub-steps. So you have this is the next group of instructions that we're going to be working through, and then you nest underneath of those. You have lots of warnings. Those are awesome. I think this one might want to come first. You might want to move that up to the top, and then move through there. I love how you've placed, some graphics within images. I think you've done a great job on that. Again, I would just caution you or advise you to think about how those steps are clustered together. Remember, you want to chunk information. So if the first thing is to mark the blade, the second thing is to, and that would include both sides or marking the blade. The second one is to remove the rear cover. That would be the second set of instructions or group of them. And then there's something about cleaning the port. I kind of remember. Yeah, loosen this and clean the part. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when I read through, I saw 5 or 6 different subset of instructions, and each of those instructions could have had 5 or 6 steps. Because when I look at your instructions, I think it's 16 that you have. Yeah, 14 of them. You need to have a minimum of 25. So that might help you elaborate and be a little more specific. Make sure that you're starting every instruction off with an action verb. Here, step 11 says, once the alignment is correct and the saw blade is square to the miter, tighten the adjustment screws firmly. Number 11, start it with this. Tighten the adjustment screws firmly underneath. Note, make certain the alignment is correct. 2, make certain the saw blade is square to the miter slot. So you want to make sure that each instruction step starts with an action verb. It gives a command to the user. I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to reading your final copy.